Forward to here. All right, sweet. Let me share my screen with you guys here. Jamie, I did make some adjustments. I know I didn't send you the updated one,
That's fine.
but I have faith. Share. I guess we can allow for a month. Sure. There we go. Cool. You guys able to see everything on here?
Yes. Yes.
Sweet. So, Shell, kind of like I was saying, today's topic is just energy balance as a whole. Learning how to eat, learning how to move in a way that keeps you feeling your best as you go to festivals without having to go down like the crash diet route or like the extreme exercise route. I know both like Jamie and I can probably attest to these. We've probably both done both of them. Hence why I kind of want to shine some light on it. So, Jamie, I'm going to ask you this question first. Have you ever gone down the route of trying to do some crash diet or some extreme thing before heading out to a festival?
Unfortunately, multiple times.
What's a, did you feel like that helped you when you did, or did it just kind of leave you maybe not having the best experience at the event?
It definitely affected my experience because I didn't have a lot of energy. I was exhausted. Trying to enjoy the sets, I felt like my body just couldn't keep up with, wanting to dance and have fun and headbang and all of that. And so it really affected me in a lot of different ways for sure. And then also my sleep, I noticed it was really messing up my sleep, which we already get shitty sleep at a festival. So for it to mess it up even more, I was like, okay. But unfortunately, I had to do it multiple times to finally learn my lesson.
Yeah. Live and learn, right? You got to make the mistakes before we know how to like actually overcome them.
Yes, correct.
Shell, same question to you. Have you been down this route before or not so much?
Um, So I'm trying to think like if I've ever done like a crash dive before a festival. I would do the thing where like if I was going out that night, I wouldn't eat all day.
Yeah.
So I
Real
would
thing
look the
too.
skinniest. Or like if I am going to a festival that day, I won't eat that day. But I can't think if I've ever like done like a crash diet where like I eat really, really healthy right before or don't eat anything. I guess
Mhm.
I probably would eat less maybe right before a festival. But yeah.
I would count that as a crash diet, like significantly cutting your calories, either doing like keto where you're doing like no carb, or if you're doing like a zero fat or whatever, like any sort of extreme diet in any way, shape, or form, whether it has a name or not, I would kind of call that like a crash diet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, like Jamie was saying, it doesn't even have to be anything drastic. Like maybe you didn't even realize that this was like
Right.
a crash style thing for you. Maybe you just like subconsciously did it, but
Yeah.
it still kind of falls under that same category.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we, kind of dive into the real nitty-gritty of everything, there's a lot of topics that I kind of want to cover in this one. I will apologize in advance. It is a little bit lengthier, but mostly we kind of want to cover the idea of how you can one lose fat without starving yourself and or overtraining. Go over like how many calories you burn in a day versus like how many you burn just from exercise. Number three, like how to lose fat and still have energy, meaning like not going down that crash diet route. And then, of course, trying to figure out, okay, we have this goal of fat loss. What's the right way to approach it? We can know all the science behind it, but if we don't know how to approach it, then what's the point? So, first things first, from a energy balance standpoint, first things first, I would just think of energy balance as like a blank term. Essentially, what it is, it's just your body's battery. If you give it more fuel than what it needs, you start to store body fat. If you give it less fuel, it starts to pull from our body fat as power. I think we all kind of have a good idea of that one, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shall I ask this question to you? Are there parts of your day that burn energy that you never really thought about?
Um, like do I feel like starting to burn out like during a certain time of the day? Is that what that question is?
Not so much. So more so like there, I'll flip the question the other way. What activities in your day do you feel like you are actually burning calories that you're actually expending energy?
Oh. Yeah, well, the gym in the morning for sure. I feel like I'm burning calories. Um, and the one time a month I take my dog for a walk.
Yeah, those things definitely count. The whole reason I ask you is because it's next slide. Again, I'm going to make this as simple as possible here. So, to keep it simple, your body is always burning energy. Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
can I interrupt you?
Yeah,
Also, sleeping.
yeah. Saving you do burn
Ah, I knew that
110%.
one. I knew that
Yeah.
one.
That's kind of where this comes in. Obviously, us moving our body, working out, doing all those things does burn calories. But reality is the majority of your calories burned are when you are literally doing nothing. We have a term called BMR, your basal metabolic rate. The best way I like to describe it is when you're laying in bed, just doing absolutely nothing, but still just laying there, your body's still burning calories. So majority of that entire expenditure is this kind of dark blue column right here, your BMR. Jamie, I know this is something like you and I go over more so on the one-on-one side of people,
Mm-hmm.
is when it comes to under eating, I think people neglect this part and they only tend to look at these top columns up here.
Correct. It's kind of a common misconception. And then also the other side of things too, it can cause under eating because you don't realize how many calories you're burning because you're like, oh, I didn't walk that much today. I didn't do that much today. My gym session, was only 30 minutes long. Like I didn't burn that many calories, but in reality, you were running errands, you were doing laundry, you were cleaning the kitchen, like those types of things. A lot of people don't factor those in, which can cause you to undereat because you're underestimating the amount of calories burned. The other
Mm.
side of the spectrum is, let's say, a lot of people with the watches, right? They use it in a negative way where they see, oh, I burned 400 calories today, like during my workout, so I can eat an extra 400 calories, right? And then they're wondering why they're not losing weight or why they're not getting more lean or toned or whatever it is that they're looking for. So it unfortunately can be misconstrued on both sides of the spectrum. And that's why we want to educate all of you on what actually is happening and what's going on so you can better calculate your calories burned versus your calorie intake.
Yeah. And before I click the next one too, I think BMR very much ranges for everyone. The more muscle mass you have and the taller you are, the higher your BMR is going to be. Men and women, I think this varies drastically with. I have guys that are burning over 2,000 calories just at rest alone. Or we have girls who are maybe only burning like 1,100 to 1,200 calories. The ranges can really vary. It's hard to get an exact number until we have a body composition understanding. So, I don't know if can I move this little? Oh, I can. I can move this little thing. Cool. In terms of how it relates to fat loss, again, think of it like an energy reserve. Um, your body does not. So let's use this one for example. I'll make it similar. If you were going on a long road trip and you decide to bring a few gallons of gas with you in your trunk, just to, in case you run out of gas in the middle of the desert, you wouldn't fill up that tank with extra gallons unless you were completely out of gas, correct?
Right.
Using your fat as fuel is the same exact method. Your body's not going to utilize fat as fuel unless there is a calorie deficit present. How do we actually get to the calorie deficit? How do we do it the right way? That's the part we're going to kind of cover in the next one there. So, um, Shell, for you, out of all three of these, what sounds a bit more achievable? Eating a little bit less, moving more, or a combination of both?
Probably moving a bit more.
Yeah. Why moving a bit more? Why is that one easier?
Because I like, yes, I go to the gym in the morning, but I could, instead of once a month walking my dog, walk him once a day.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could get a little more like steps in at least.
Yeah. What about maybe eating less sounds challenging for you? Like, why pick moving more versus eating less?
Well, I guess I'm only saying eating less because I'm currently doing a training um program
Mhm.
and um she has me eating like certain macros. And I don't see myself eating any less than the macros
Okay.
that she gives me, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's only why I say moving a bit more. But if I wasn't doing her plan, if I wasn't eating the meal preps, then I would for sure say eating a bit less because I can down a lot of food.
Yeah.
Well, and she's probably got you already in a slight deficit if
Yeah,
she
yeah.
because she knows your goals and everything. So guaranteed she's probably already got you at eating less, meaning less than the calories that you're burning. And so then you don't, trying to eat even less than that is probably something that you don't want to do if you're already in a deficit.
Right, right. And I think that is probably that's easier for me to do, like because it's easier for me to like cook and make those meal preps and get those macros in like perfectly. But it's harder for me to be like, okay, I need to get up and go walk the dog, or I need to stop doing what I'm doing to go walk the dog or get
Mm.
more stuff.
Yeah. So you're saying in general, it's a lot easier for you to just eat a little bit less than it is for you to move your body more, correct?
Yeah. Oh wait, did I answer that wrong?
I think you answered it reverse, but then you re-answered it the right way the second time. That's why I was gonna confirm.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad.
You're good.
Sorry. I'm gaining back the brain cells I lost the last 3 weeks being at festival. Go sleep.
You're fine.
Understand.
This is that's exactly why I wanted to ask. Because again, I think for everyone this is a little bit different. For a
Right.
lot of us, I would agree with you. I think eating a bit less is personally a little bit easier, whereas someone who, maybe doesn't eat at all is on the other boat where they're like, oh, I'll just move more. I have a lot of time on my hands. I'll just move more. The reason I asked though is because we can get into a deficit with a combination or both these methods if we do it the right way. So kind of choosing, deciding which one should you actually do, I think really comes down to just your own personal life. You could, in theory, decrease your calorie intake by 500 calories. I say 500 because it takes 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat per week. So 500 times seven, meaning 7 days of the week, would put you at that average of 1 pound per week. We could also increase your energy expenditure by 500 calories per day, meaning that could be walking more, that could be you doing cardio, whatever it may be. We could definitely do that. Or my personal favorite, and Jamie, I'm sure you're in the same boat as this one, a combination of the two, doing a small calorie drop plus an increase in energy expenditure. I know, Jamie, from even like a personal story from you, have you found that some people do better with one or the other and or like a combination of both?
Yeah, I would say it kind of just depends on the individual. I've seen every side of the spectrum with it, but I think for my clients, they're already under eating.
Mhm.
So honestly, the movement part is the easier part for them. It's the getting them to eat more, knowing that they're still going to lose weight and slim down and tone up and build muscle. It's that there tends to be with us women, the issue is we're not eating enough and we are actually in a very like too large of a deficit, and then trying to think, especially if you have extra fat on you or if you feel bloated and swollen and you're wanting to sort of lose that, and what we call like slimming down and toning up, right? Maybe not drastic weight loss, but slimming down and toning up tends to be the most common desire for results. And I think that's where, then trying to reverse your own psychology of like, oh, in order to get that, I actually need to eat more. Because especially when you add in working out, right? Because then they're like, oh, I want to build muscle, I want to get lean. So they're wanting the workouts. And then me telling them, you need to eat more. We actually need to increase you a little bit. I would say that's kind of harder for them. So I think more
Yeah.
of us women, it's actually the opposite. We need to eat more in order to get
Mhm.
the results that we're looking for, not less. But I have seen it as well where, people eat a little bit too much and it's a struggle for them to decrease, because I feel like food is a coping mechanism, tends to be the most common one, where we want to eat, we want to satisfy, whatever desire with food because we're lonely or something happened, we've got some trauma we're working on or whatever, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, whatever the case may be, we got our heart broken, right? And so that kind of is where we can excessively overeat, and it really just depends on the individual.
Yeah. So I'm glad you bring up the increase in calorie intake part because it kind of
Mm-hmm.
leads like right into the next one here. More so
Sweet.
deciding like when to use each one. And so literally like what you just said leads into literally this first bullet point. If you look, it says for most women, if you're maintaining above 2,200 calories, we can do a decrease in calories. And so Jamie, like you were saying, majority of people when they do come into work with us, and I don't even think us, probably with a lot of coaches, a lot of people come in under eating. And so if we're not at this maintenance level, even to start, going into a fat loss phase, decreasing calories right off the bat is probably the worst thing we could do for them. Chelsea, same for you. Have you been with the person you're working with? Did you guys work on like getting yourself up to a maintenance level? How did you kind of structure your take with nutrition?
She had me eating like uh I think a little more than 2,200 or around 2,200 to see like how I forget how much it was because it's been like 6 months now.
Mhm.
But it was like I think it was about 2,200 and like she just like decreased it. I mean, I kept saying how it was hard to eat that much. Like I for sure remember telling her that whatever I was trying to get to, it was hard for me to get that much in. But like we worked on it and like started decreasing it like slowly and slowly as like I started eating more
Yeah.
of it, getting to it. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's the correct method. Because again, like until we are at a healthy maintenance, decreasing calories just isn't a good option because we're already too low. Kind of like Jamie was saying, people often come in under eating. There's no point in us just going right into, hey, let's cut your calories if our body is not at a good point to do that. That's where it kind of leads into this next one too is, if you've been at that point, sometimes it is best to do a food decrease and an energy increase. Because if Michelle, in your case, where your appetite was really, really low and it was hard to get that amount of food in, if we just drop your calories really hard and all of a sudden it's going to it's going to make it really difficult for you to actually stick to that goal for a prolonged period of time. So where we start getting into binging, we start getting into like a bad relationship with food when we just start cutting everything right off the bat.
Yes, for sure. I think I've done that in the past.
Just kind of like done a big
Like,
cut and then
yeah, done a big decrease. Is that the word we were using?
yeah,
Mhm.
it works.
Done a big decrease and then added started binging. I mean,
Yeah.
It's probably from decreasing too much, your body's craving, wanting more, literally telling you that you need nutrients, because you're like, oh, I need to significantly cut my calories. I think it kind of happens with women a lot, especially going to festivals. You have your little outfits. It starts getting closer to the festival. You're maybe a month, 2 months out, or maybe you're even just a couple weeks out and you're like, okay, I need to try to get results. So you significantly cut because you're like, I got to make up for lost time, right? And then
yeah,
you get to the festival. Maybe you did lose some pounds. You don't feel as swollen and bloated. But then after the festival, you literally cannot stop eating because your body is
right.
telling you, like, hey, you starved me for a while. You weren't giving me the proper nutrients. And that's how the cycle of binging and restricting happens. And then it kind of becomes this endless cycle. And breaking the cycle, I will say, is one of the hardest things that anyone will ever do. I can say I've done a lot of different things that have been very hard in my life, but I will say reversing that and getting out of the cycle of binging and restricting was one of the hardest things I ever did.
Yeah, that's exactly what I used to do for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
My
think,
and it's even like I feel like it's even like generational too. Like I was just with my mom and I guess I haven't seen her in like a month or two and she lost like 25 pounds and I was like, "Wow, mom, like you look great. Like what did you do?" And she literally told me that she just stopped eating. And I was like,
Oh,
"Mom, you could not do that. You could not just stop eating and lose 25 pounds. Like this is not the 60s." Or no, I guess she's younger than that, like the 80s or whatever. And I try to tell her that, you have to eat or you're just gonna gain that 25 pounds right back as soon as you eat
mhm,
something. But
correct.
but it's like it's generational. Like my sister even will say too sometimes that she won't eat um breakfast because she wants to keep her body tight.
Well, and I think it's society as well. So it's also still, regardless of how many fitness influencers, coaches, whatever it may be, is actually putting out there that, hey, this is not the way that we should be doing things. And I feel like we're kind of headed down that route of correcting some really toxic,
Mhm.
diets and training, things that have been put into our brain of what we need to do to get these super quick, amazing results. And now I think we are becoming better at it. But unfortunately, there still is society still kind of has put it into our brains, especially now pushing pills and medications and Ozempic and all these other things. It's like everybody desires that quick fix. And so people still resort to the like, well, the less calories means the more weight I'll lose. So I'll just eat a whole lot less calories. It's still, regardless of what they're being told, they want the quick results. And so I think that's where a lot of people kind of push aside the actual science behind it now and the corrections that we've made to make the fitness industry better. People still just resort to the quick fix because that's what everybody wants. Nobody wants to wait a long time for their results.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yep.
I think just to like recap this one so that way for people watch it afterwards, it all makes sense. Using the right tool, I would not go down the decrease in calorie route until you are at a healthy maintenance. We'll keep it that simple. If you are at a healthy maintenance level, sure, we can go ahead and do with a decrease. But if you already have a low calorie intake, or Shell, in your case, like for you, it was really, really hard to get your calories up in the first place, and you're kind of fearful of going back down that route of under eating, then we can go up the route of just increasing your energy. There's two ways that we can increase energy. Either one is we can increase the amount that we just move during the day. That's what we'd consider NEAT, this non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's a really sciencey term. Just think of the word NEAT. It's a hell of a lot easier. Essentially, all that means is just increasing your daily activity. Things like 10,000 steps per day, getting up and going for a walk in between meetings. Um, there's a million and one off. Taking the stairs instead of elevators. All things like that are just little ways you can increase your daily activity. On average, again, this is just average. This is not like a set sciencey number. 10,000 steps per day will typically yield an extra 300 to 500 calories. So I know for me, a big goal of mine for a lot of my new people is, hey, cool, we got your food in line, you're in the gym, cool. Maybe the number's not moving yet. Before we go and add a bunch of cardio, let's go and get your steps in. Let's set a step goal. Simply just getting them moving can possibly get them to that next step. If you are already hitting 10,000 steps per day and you're like, man, I'm still not really seeing the number move, I'm not going in the right direction, then we could even look at increasing your cardio intake. Jamie, I know you're in the same boat as this. We're not about like just assigning hours and hours of cardio to someone right off the bat. Little like 3 to 5 sessions at max, little 20, 30-minute sessions is truly all you need to up that calorie expenditure goal.
Correct. I'll even do sometimes 10 to 15 minutes, just depending on the duration of the workout. If my client has enough time or if that's going to exceed the time that they can get a workout in, I'll even do maybe 10 to 15 minutes of some form of cardio after a workout, but then encourage them, put reminders in their program to like, hey, get your steps in, go for a walk. Just something like that, just something a little extra that's not cardio. Cause I feel like cardio, a lot of people don't like it, right? The being on the treadmill, going for a run, like getting super, super sweaty and hot. And it's a lot of stamina, right? And some people just really struggle with that. And that's where doing something as simple as walking. I can say that when I cut out intense cardio and I started focusing on the 10,000 steps a day and I started making that my goal on top of a good lifting workout, right? The muscle to mind connection, good amount of weight, like really pushing myself, but not overdoing it, along with the 10,000 steps, I got the best results. Of course, my nutrition was also great, but I mean, workout wise, definition, muscle wise, that was when I got the best results. And I will forever say that walking, women especially, us walking is just, it's so healthy for you. And it is such a great way to burn fat without burning muscle.
Yeah. Shell, for you again, I know you're on your own program as is. But did you guys incorporate a mix of both? Like, did you get just right into like 5 days a week of working out, or did you kind of do a balance of like some working out, some more daily activity? How did you guys break it up?
Well, she asked me like how many days I felt comfortable going, and I
Mm.
said right off the bat, I'm good with going for 4 days. So we did like 4 days, and then she definitely like started me off lower with the cardio, and then increased my cardio as time went on. Um, and now and cardio as in like just walking on the
Yeah.
treadmill. I was do a
Yep.
couple like 20 minutes, and then it went to 30, and then 40, and then now I'm at like 45, and then extra days, doing it. And I think that's also because I struggle to get my steps in.
Yep.
So doing that extra cardio helps me get my steps in too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my assumption. She didn't say that to me, but that's what I thought in my head. That's probably why she's upping my cardio.
Yeah.
So get my steps in.
There's a guy that I work with in person here. He's he's almost one like a John Summit. He's a DJ and an accountant. He's opening for Chasing Status this weekend.
Oh.
But same thing. He's like very, very sedentary just from, again, as an accountant, you're just sitting there doing Excel sheets, I'm assuming all day. I don't know what accountants do. But, so for him, same thing. Like we tried getting a step goal for him, and yeah, he took little, 5, 10 minute breaks in between meetings. But what we've had to do is really like similar to you, shall like increase the cardio instead, because this goal just wasn't necessarily feasible in his day. So
Yeah.
I think that's something to know too for people, trial and error.
Right.
I always say, try to get your daily activity up first. If that's not helping you or that's just not doable for your point in life, if you can commit to an extra 20, 30 minutes at the gym extra, so be it. So pick your poison. Whichever one works better for you is really what's going to end up being sustainable.
And also remember, to all the ladies watching, remember that cardio does not mean like, oh, I have to be doing sprints or running or something that's going to make me sweat like crazy. Because I think that's the first thing that people think of when they hear cardio. And Michelle, just like how you said, like just walking on the treadmill, that's cardio. And if you want to add an incline, that's my favorite cardio is inclining the treadmill a little bit. and I multitask, like standing for 30 minutes on the treadmill, right? It can be you're sitting there going, "Oh, I want to be done. I want to be done." But if you find something like maybe I'll even just be on my phone responding to DMs, and before I know it, like my messages get backed up. So I'll just sit on the treadmill, walk on an incline at a good speed, respond to DMs, and by the time I'm done responding to like messages, comments, or whatever it is that I'm doing, I look up and I'm at practically 30 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so just those little types of things, it doesn't need to be sweating your ass off to be considered cardio.
Yeah, I love being able to walk at that kind of pace because I am able to get like so much done on my phone. Like I've created more content just because I'm on my phone walking. I'm like, oh, I could edit this video if I'm walking right now. Because like that's like something easier. Like I personally can't like email while walking because I just feel like I can't type it as fast and it just annoys me walking, but being able to like edit content, it's increased my productivity for content.
Exactly.
So again, I think it's very, very dependent on your scenario. But again, if you are at a good point, I personally like this idea of increasing energy expenditure before just going right into a big calorie deficit, kind of like we covered in the last one. So last but not least, last option, and I think this works really, really well for someone who, in my personal opinion, maybe doesn't have the best relationship with food and exercise just yet. I think that's where this combination works great. So a mix of doing a small decrease in food and an increase in energy. So for example, I've had one girl, she lives in the Bay Area. She's has a history of being overweight. Her family's overweight. She just had that idea for a really, really long time. And so for her, just dropping her right into some big calorie decrease or telling her to go exercise 5 times a week just it didn't click with her. So instead of just throwing her into the fire, it's like, hey, let's do just a little bit of food and a little bit of activity. So something as simple as like a little 300-calorie decrease. 300 calories is like the equivalent of like a protein bar. Really not that much. Plus having a focus on increasing her daily activity and having in 2 to 3 just sessions of her doing some steady state cardio, kind of like we were talking, incline walking, something simple. Doing something like this was really, really helpful because it didn't feel like she was changing her entire life. But at the same time, we were getting the same exact result as if we were to do a big change here or a big change here. It just made it less intimidating for the most part. Um, Jamie, have you had girls in the past where like this was a little more doable versus trying to go like deep end calorie decrease or like insanely increase your energy expenditure?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely my favorite way, just personally for myself, as well as just what I've seen has worked better with people that I know and my clients is a combination of both. It's a lot easier to do. And then also just overall is healthier in general. If you focus on the working out as well as the nutrition, both combined are going to give you the best results versus, yes, you can just focus on one and still get results. However, I believe that a combination of the two of them together is going to produce the best results because you're building muscle, you're leaning out, right? You're getting that definition that you're looking for because of the working out and focusing on burning enough calories, getting the 10,000 steps in a day. But then you're also not feeling like you're starving yourself because you're not cutting out too many calories. You can still treat yourself. You can still have meals at the portion sizes similar to what you had prior. It's just a lot, in my opinion, a better balance, like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think it's what was I going to say with this? Now I'm blanking on it. You reminded me when you said it, and now I'm blanking on it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I lost track of it. Sorry. Shell, I can imagine it kind of sounds like just what you guys are doing. This is kind of the phase you guys are in now too, where it's like you've been slowly decreasing your calories while
Yeah.
also slowly upping your cardio intake. So it sounds like this is kind of the phase that you're in currently, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I
Yes.
think it's a really, really good point to be in. And a good thing to know is all of these different phases are interchangeable. So if
Mhm.
right now you're in a point in life to where this is more sustainable for you, perfect. Stick to it, make it happen. If you're in a phase of life where you're at your desk 12 hours a day, you have a really busy job, and it's just not possible to expend more energy, then maybe just focusing on calorie decrease is the goal. Again, it's very person dependent. I think it really is just based off your lifestyle. But like Jimmy was saying, I think this is the best bang for your buck in a sense. So uh,
Yeah.
overall, without letting it get more and more sciencey, any questions from your end, Shell?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think I have that many questions.
Right.
Right.
I put a
Sorry.
little like
Questions.
I put a little thing at the bottom here. This could even be past ones. Was there either activity or nutrition roadblocks that you and your coach had to work through to get you to the point you're at now?
Oh, for sure. I definitely, so I struggled in the beginning with routine because like getting back into the gym, when I used to go to the gym, it would be like after work, like as like a college kid, because I had all the energy in the world to go do a 5 hour serving shift and then go to the gym after, like, and then I also didn't have to go as much because my body was still my college body. And then so now being like a full-time, or I don't even have a full-time job now, but like when I did have a full-time job, I stopped going completely. And then so now that I have a lot like more time, I'm trying to find like a good routine, like where like I can, like it took me a really long time to get into the routine of like hitting those all those protocols, like
Yeah.
hitting my macros and going to the gym. Like one would always like suffer.
Hmm.
And like some of them still suffer. Like I'm getting better and better. Like they're starting to all equally be hit. Like protocols, I mean, like macros and
Hmm.
going to the gym and getting my steps in and drinking water. So yeah. So now right now I'm going through the roadblock of like not I just had 3 festivals back to back to back. So now I've had that roadblock of like taking a break kind of from like training. So now I'm trying to get back into going to the gym this week.
Yeah, and I think that's you talk about the big one too, just lifestyle in general. We can have all these perfect protocols. Like on paper, all these things work, right? We
Yeah.
decrease 500 calories, you'll lose weight. If we increase your energy, you'll lose weight. If we do both, you like it will work. But if we don't address some of the lifestyle issues and the habit issues that prevent us from being able to do these things, then this is literally useless. So
Right.
I like how you're addressing that stuff first. I agree with you. The big part I know Jamie and I work on every single day with people is let's work through the lifestyle roadblocks so that we can implement these protocols to then get someone to where they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was telling Jamie too that I love that your app has like the habit tracker where you can like check the things off after you've done it for today. I've been very bad at keeping up with it. I'm sorry, but
Okay. Yeah,
trying.
for you though, since you already have like a coach, it was more I wanted to really focus on, more of the like the habits, the sleep, the more like mental health side of things, and especially being a content creator and me understanding some of the things that we all need to work on as content creators, which is taking a break from our damn phones. I swear, like we're just getting away from a screen, like we're like taking that away from us because it's so mentally taxing and it really does affect our mental health. And so that was a big thing for the festival babes that I wanted to do, was that like unplug, which we're doing another month of that, by the way, because I feel like it's something that honestly we could spend months and months and months doing.
Oh, absolutely. I think I did okay with that the last couple weeks because I've been working festivals. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but there's definitely more room for me to like take breaks now, like the next like month at least, because I won't be doing as much phone
Yeah.
stuff.
And that's why I did the 30 minutes a day. And even then it's like if it's not every day, it's more of just a goal. Like if we can make it happen, if we can do it. But I obviously know I'm even victim to it as well. Like there's days that I don't do that I don't implement that. But the goal is to, as much as you can, even if it's just 30 minutes or maybe several days go by and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna put the phone down for 2 hours today. Just those little things of and finding something else to do. Maybe there's other tasks that you wanted to take care of. You wanted to put your laundry up or, whatever the case may be. There's so many things that you could do during that time that will help you mentally because you're like, oh, that's been sitting there. I've been needing to get this done. I've been needing to do this or that or call the doctor or whatever it is that you've been kind of putting off to the side. It's an excuse for us to put down the phone and prioritize some other things that could benefit us mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I've done that. I haven't even realized it too, probably. Like when I clean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I listen to a podcast, but I'm not, on my phone. I don't know if
Me-
that counts.
I feel like no matter what, like it's just the way the world is. Like we're all tied to our phones in some way, shape, or form. I even think of it like, okay, if you're driving, all of our cars are connected. Like, I don't know, I get text message notifications. I have my Spotify on my car, so it's like it's the same thing. We're intertwined
Yeah,
with tech, but there's a difference between, listening to a podcast, listening to music, and then doing stuff for yourself versus like creating content, replying to emails, doing all that stuff on the back end. Big time.
for sure, for sure.
So, well, sweet. I appreciate you hopping in. Any other questions, comments, concerns on this whole topic? Or are we feeling pretty good?
No, I think I'm glad I got to come to this one. So thank you for it. And
Yeah.
thank you for doing this or not every week, but bi-weekly for us. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Every
I
uh every couple weeks we're gonna try to like I'm gonna try to add on this. So like this was meant to be kind of like the foundational one,
yeah,
and then we'll start adding in more in-depth topics as time goes on. But I wanted to cover this one first because I was like, one, this is kind of the basics of fat loss, but two, this is just one tool in your toolbox. Maybe
yeah.
this phase of life you're trying to lose weight. Maybe the next phase you're trying to gain muscle. Maybe the next one you're trying to change your body composition without losing weight. There's just different methods. So if we can cover one at a time rather than throwing everything at you, you set yourself up.
Yeah, this was like just enough information for me to grasp onto and because sometimes I know sometimes it can be like information overload, but this was a good amount of info.
Well, and two, if you have any questions about any of the topics we discussed or the facts or whatever the case may be, and same to any of the other ladies who are watching this that maybe saw something where they're like, oh, I don't fully understand that, or you just want a little bit more in-depth explanation or understanding, you all have my numbers. Please feel free to text me, let me know, and I can 100% get more in depth on anything.
Sweet. They say thank you.
Sweet, of course. Well, appreciate you having me, Shelf. Glad we could connect all today. And we
All
will
right.
call you guys again soon.
Yeah, have a good one, guys. Bye.
Adios. Bye.
Bye.